Alright, I've been driving this around for a while now. The car's getting better. I'm figuring stuff out because there's not really enough descriptions out there to tell you exactly what you need to do in order to get the transmission to do this or to do that. So like, I've been having to figure this stuff out. I have found places in the tuning software here to adjust RPM per gear, maximum RPM per gear. So that has helped at wide open throttle because I've been able to make first gear shift way shorter than second gear and even third gear because those gears happen so quickly the transmission can't quite catch it. So I've adjusted those. I've also found where to adjust basically behavior per mode. So just the general part throttle driving through each gear and each mode. So like for me, position 1 is a very light mode. Like it just kind of, it's basically what you would want in like a Cadillac kind of thing. Just a little bit more rough than that, but similar. Position 2 is a bit more sporty. Position 3, I've got that really sporty, kind of too much. Like if you were to try to track it, it probably, when it bangs the downshift, it probably would skid the rear wheels because it hits hard. It actually does the same on the upshift, so I'm probably gonna have to lighten that up. It's set too firm. Might even break the transmission, I don't know. So I gotta back those modes down. It's basically shows 1, 2, or 3 for those settings. So position 1 is set to pretty much just 1 across the board, so it's the lighter setting. And then you have position 2, which is a sport mode, and then position 3 is like sport plus or something like that, I think is how it's labeled in the software. And mind you, the floating labels that you get when you're over top of the parameter tree, not all of them tell you exactly what they do. Some of them kind of give you a clue to what they do, but not really tell you what they do, which is really freaking annoying. Then there are other tables that you go into that have 1, 2, and 3, or 0, 1, 2, but they don't say what they reference, which is very, very annoying. So like when I'm coming to a stoplight and I start decelerating, it gets to be really jerky like this because it grabs the next gear and it throws you forward, then it grabs the next gear, it throws you forward, and I'm trying to lighten that up, but I don't know for sure where I need to go to adjust that. I've only been messing with the transmission shifting on and off because I've had other situations, other things going on. Like I've also been messing with tuning this ECU because this E38 didn't really have an exact tune that was correct for this car, so I've had to learn how to actually tune. I've taken some online classes and stuff, and now it's just kind of going through stuff step by step. The engine's gotten better, but I really kind of need to dial the transmission in too because it's a little too harsh. And at one point in time I had the transmission under wide open throttle shifting where I needed it to, and something has changed. So first gear would just run right smack into the limiter. Second gear hits tickles the edge of the limiter, so it kind of hesitates for a second, then it shifts. So I've adjusted those again, brought those down more RPM because I believe I have the rev limiter set at 6,700. So I have first to second shifting at 6,000, and it's really like 6,600 that it's shifting. And then I have second to third is shifting at 62, and it's rated about 65, 66. So I'm having to make sure that the transmission anticipates the shift under wide open. I may have to adjust that again if I end up like adding more timing because the car might like timing. I haven't got into any of that stuff. I've really only messed with the math curve to kind of clean that up so that the torque calculations are better going to the transmission, because everything for this TCU is receiving the torque signal over CAN bus. So a lot of the graphs that are in the TCU software are irrelevant because it's not using any of those torque charts. It just wants to know what is the torque coming from the engine so that it can time and set up the shift essentially. I kind of wish this was a little bit better. I've gotten it somewhat better hitting the gears down, so I can, if the right setting is into like Sport 2, it's quicker on the downshift, but it's definitely no OE. You know, you can't floor it from cruise speed in 8th gear and it downshift 3 gears like it needs to. It won't do it. It just does one and then it hesitates, then it moves another, and by the time it gets to the second downshift, it's already gone past the point at which it needed to go 3 gears down. So you've lost a lot of pull. So it's gotten a lot better. There's a lot to do, but let's see here. Now I'll just show you. Okay, so I don't have screen capture, so this is going to be a little bit more difficult. So if you go up here to automatic gear change up, okay, so this is like the light throttle driving. So like this is your throttle percentage, 0, 10, 20, all the way up. And this is like a absolute max RPM over here at 6,500 is what it's set to here. But this is all your maps. So I have like first gear is like mode 1 is really low RPM shifting. So like you accelerate and it's just going shift, 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 shift. It's rather nice, but if you get up here into mode 2, you see it was 1500, then it's 1900, right? 1200, 1600, 1600, 1700, 2000. So, and that is a lot better. Like if you wanted people to hear your engine, that's the one right there, because it gets it right up into the real growl that this engine's got. So that's one setup. Okay, so this other one right here, this selector gear map swap, see, that's the floating tab. It kind of tells you, but it doesn't really give you enough. So see, first is set on 1 here, and then second is 2, then 3, 4, 5. So anyways, I went down here to this over here, because you can only have 3 automatic positions, I guess 3 automatic shifting modes. So like auto 3, which is mode 3, I have it set to mode 3. See how it's like, it's really aggressive. But I made 7th and 8th a lot lighter. I made 7th and 8th over here match what automatic 1 was set to. So it's a lot better, because now 7th and 8th are shifting up, seeing how they're overdrive gears, right? They're shifting up at a lot lower RPM in mode 2 and in mode 3, which is kind of made it better, because I could get up to expressway cruising speed at 70 miles an hour in mode 2 and it wouldn't go into 8th gear. And I could put it into manual mode, or use manual paddle to put it into 8th gear. And when the auto mode timer times out and it takes back over automatic, it would downshift it back to 7th. Okay, that time off return to automatic mode. That's what that is. That's 20 seconds. So when you take over control with the manual paddles, like I had said before, you can do that at any given time. You can grab the paddles and take manual control no matter what automatic mode it's in. But if you don't touch the paddles for 20 seconds, it goes back into automatic. Or if the transmission, like if you're coming to a stop sign and it's in manual mode, it will automatically downshift. And that actually goes for all the positions. It will automatically downshift as you're coming to a stop. It just won't upshift. Okay, so here is minimum gear reduce. So if this little hover screen says the minimum gear of which it will automatically reduce. So I have that set to 1. And it does, it actually goes to 1. Now when I'm rolling to a stop, it's going all the way down into first gear, even though I don't have first gear set to start for position 1. So apparently there's an overlap that's not quite allowing it to stay into second gear, because the only position I have set to enable first gear to start would be position 3, because I wanted that extra aggression. But it's fine, it's doing it in first or in position 1, and that's okay, because it shifts quickly anyway. So it's like whoop, and shifts. What is strange is if you wait, right, that says minimum gear, it will automatically reduce, but if then you go up to this one, it also says minimum gear to which it will automatically reduce. I don't understand that, because one is kicked down off and one is kicked down on. So I'm not 100% on what that is. It's one of those things where I do wish there was a wiki online for this to give descriptions and explanations for things on this. Maybe that's just what I have to do so that it can be understood better. Okay, so now for this one, I have this right here, lockup, RPM, throttle position. So if you go over here, it is throttle position versus map, and then the RPM at which the torque converter is going to lock up. Which is interesting, because look over here, the higher modes are 2000, 2500 for lockup. So that makes me think that I can try to do like position 3 set at higher RPM lockup. Also, I'm going to try and see, because I talked to a transmission shop about the vibration this transmission is doing, and he said if you can figure out a way to unlock the torque converter, see whether or not it's torque converter shutter. So if I can just set those, like one of those modes to like 6,000, 6,500 RPM, so the torque converter never locks up, maybe I'll find out if torque converter shutter is what I'm actually experiencing. Okay, so this is one of those maps where the hover screen that comes up doesn't really describe enough. Okay, so the values in that map are 1, 2, and 3, and lock 0, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2. So exactly what is that doing? Is the lock aggressive? Is it not aggressive? But what is the number that's aggressive? The 0, 1, 2 or the 1, 2, 3? That's one of the things that's not really described here. So I'm gonna have to play around with that and see where that ends up, because I want the converter to not be locked up in gear 3, 2, and 1 coming to a stop, but I'm not sure how to do that yet. Okay, so like this one right here, open lockup RPM when decelerating, right? And then you have to get the hover map. Okay, and then you would think it'd be something you could use, and then you look up here at it and it says neutral S1, S2, and then gear 2 and 1. So I'm not sure whether or not I should change those to 3, change all of those to 3 and just see what it does, because I don't know what S1 and S2 is. What is S1 and what is S2? There's no reference to this over here, so I don't know what it freaking means. Okay, so now this is the map where I've been able to tailor it per the RPM, the maximum RPM per gear. All right, so I'm over here at RPM limit, and then under automatic mode, and then you go all the way down here to max RPM limit, and that brings you this map right here. So I've just kind of been doing a global setup, if you will, across all the maps for gears 1 and 2. So 6,000, 6,200, then I have 6,500 for third, with 4th, 5th, and 6th being 6,600 or so. because 6th, 7th, and 8th really about doesn't matter, because you get to the top, well, I guess it does if you get up into 7th, because this car would shift into overdrive with the 4L60 at like 120 something. It would shift into 4th gear. So 7th gear probably would be useful, but 8th gear under wide open throttle, you got to be retarded. So those right there has made the wide open throttle shifting a lot better, because I can get it to shift early enough in anticipation to not hit the limiter. Okay, so still under RPM limit automatic settings, and scroll all the way down here. Now this minimum RPM limit 2182 is where I was really hoping that I could get the transmission to react quicker. It just doesn't react quick enough. So 2 to 1, this is the modes here. So see, I saw that 1500 was set in position 2, and that was just the way this was set up. Okay, so there's that one it's set, and then this 8 to 2, it's also 1518. So I tried to drive in mode 2 and go from cruise speed of 8th gear to putting it to the floor to see if it would downshift quicker and take off, and it really didn't notice anything different out of position 1. So I don't know if there's something I'm missing, or if those need to be changed greater, because I don't quite understand it.